the first question then back to the panel is the general feeling about what's the opportunity, what do they feel about convergence? John?
So that's a very big question, so we'll try to summarize. The indications right now that we're seeing, at least, and I'm going to use North America as a reference point for this discussion, because when you talk about convergence and you're including social, such a large percentage of the revenue out of the social gaming is coming from North America. So we'll start there. There's indications that what we've found in Europe for the past 10 to 15 years is actually evolving and changing. And what I mean by that is that the types of operators we're seeing are changing. Traditional casinos appear to be the ones in the future, at least for now, who are going to receive regulated licenses. Whereas in Europe, you go back 5-10 years, the traditional casino market wasn't yet as involved or passionate about online gaming. That's changed. In the US now, when you look at New Jersey, you look at Nevada, you look at proposed legislation in Pennsylvania or California, traditional casinos appear to be the ones who are going to get the licenses. So what does that mean? That means when these operators are now launching online regulated wagering, the type of content that they're requesting tends to what we call mirror the traditional casino floor. We call it mirroring the floor. So when you go to Europe and you find content, a lot of times the content you find in Europe may not necessarily be what you would find in a casino. That's very different from what we're seeing now. And the numbers out of New Jersey are indicating the players actually are looking for content that they would find in a casino. And they're migrating towards that content. So that's number one. Secondly, I would just say that when you add social into that, we're seeing the same thing. There's a survey that just came out a few months ago that showed over 84% of the people who are playing social and are actually spending their money have visited a traditional casino within the past 2 months. That's staggering. So what it says is that, again, in the social world, the most successful social casinos are offering traditional casino content. So there's a bridge here we're seeing between online wagering, traditional casinos, and social casinos, is that the players tend to be people that visit casinos. They tend to be looking for traditional casino content, and they seem to be spending their money on traditional casino content. So as you're thinking about the migration between these three verticals, let's say, I think the content is starting to become clear what they're looking for, and it's also becoming clear who's getting the licenses as we move forward into the online world.
Just one comment on that. Do you think in Asia that's going to be even stronger? Because here there's been a tradition of live dealers, and that's been important for the customer at the end. So, obviously, Asia from a regulated gaming perspective online is a little bit further behind than especially Europe. But I would say that the indications are that people playing online worldwide are people that like to game. They like to wager for money. And those people tend to be looking for content they recognize, brands they recognize, play actions they're familiar with. So my feeling would be is that as we see online gaming evolve, because of the credibility a lot of traditional casinos have within countries or jurisdictions, because they're already licensed, the odds of them being the ones to really accelerate online gaming is very high. And I think that they're going to then turn to their suppliers who have traditionally provided them content to extend into the online world, which is what we're seeing currently in North America. Great. Jonathan, your views?
Look, I think convergence gaming is clearly a hot topic. I think it's here to stay. It's a multi-channel approach. You're looking at having one seamless view of the player across all devices. And I agree with John. It's all about mirroring the content. It's all content driven. Where I don't agree with John is on the social side, because there are numerous studies that counter the argument that social players will play in land-based casinos. I think that's the case in North America specifically, where real money gaming isn't permissible. But when you take it into Europe, the land-based casino patron is more likely to be playing real money gaming on real money gaming websites. So I think the end goal is the same for everybody across the spectrum of social, real money gaming, and land-based, all slots driven, all content driven. In the West, broadly, it's very slots driven. In the East, it's very live centric. But you're restricted by regulation, and that's the biggest restriction out there.
Very good, very good. It also, I think, came back yesterday. I don't know if the members of the audience heard the view that we were given of the Asian player and how they treat their gaming transactions. I think the last talk we had yesterday, he said they treat it as an investment, not just as a play for pleasure. So I think the difference in Asia about how they treat social versus real money transactions will be evident. So the convergence will be a bit different. Do you have any views on that?
Yeah, I think that's accurate. But it all comes down to product, and what I think we'll get to in 5-10 years is a sort of mismatch of everything. So you take the social cues from social gaming, their retention strategies are phenomenal. You put those into a land-based casino, real money gaming brand. You take the real money acquisition, marketing expertise, and the strength of the brand. I think that's where we'll get to in 5-10 years.
Great, John.
I agree with the guys that